Guys, let's talk a little bit of Darren Till. I have made it very clear for you that Darren Till versus Dricus Plessis is not going to happen on the date that it's scheduled. Now, in all fairness, I haven't said who's going to pull out. There's been comments made that I'm nudging, that I have inside information. That is not the case. And the reason I want to clear it up, if you think I'm inferring who's going to pull out, then of course I'm also inferring and insulting that person as a competitor. Going as far as to say that he's a coward. I just want to really clear this up. That's not what I'm saying. And to stay on Darren Till specifically, because Darren Till just called out Bo Nickal. But I want to stay on Darren Till. Michael Bisping had made a comment. Darren Till's lost a few in a row. I believe he's at 4. I could have that wrong, and he's at 3. He's going to return to a main card. He's going to return to a feature bout. That's where he should be. Michael Bisping, who it's very hard to get a compliment, right? If Michael Bisping gives you a compliment, feel good about it, because it will be sincere. And they don't come along very often. And Michael Bisping 3 weeks ago said, guys, quoted, guys, you're going to think I'm crazy. I believe Darren Till is going to be world champion. Now, I'm only saying that because I am much closer to seeing what Bisping sees than I am to the side that you think that I'm putting down a hint that Till isn't going to show up for that match. When I watch Darren Till, I see a damn good fighter. When the very first time I watched Darren Till happened to be in a main event opposite Cowboy Cerrone. A match people don't ever take this. You're not ready. You're not ready for a main event. You're not ready for Cowboy. Then people told Cowboy the same thing. Hey, man, this is an unknown guy. What are you doing? You're putting a lot on the line here in a main event. But that was the very first time that I saw Darren Till. He has a striking ability like I only dreamed of. I used to try to fight that way. But it takes a very high level of athleticism. If you've got your chin up and your hands down and you got a weird stance going, that karate stance, that kind of hybrid in between, Conor McGregor would be a great example of somebody that does that. You have a very high level of athleticism that I just didn't possess. I never lost a fight on my feet, not one. Never been outstruck by anybody, fought 51 men. But I also never got credit for my striking. But I landed a lot of shots. I put a lot of other guys down. I landed a lot of punches and almost zero ever hit my face. Now, I don't bring that up to put myself over. I bring it to put up that there's another way that you can do it. Like, you can be very chaotic out there. My stand-up fight was pure chaos. This guy's in front of me. My chin's down. I'm throwing punches. Not too bad with the range. First one might miss. There could be 5 more coming right behind it. That was my stop, but I didn't know where I was. I wasn't comfortable. I never wanted to be on my feet with anybody. I was not moving and floating around. I wasn't blocking and firing back. I was doing none of those things. I was getting within range, watching him constantly moving, and then start throwing my hands at his chest and his body. So neck and head, it's one of those different styles. So then when I watch Darren Till, oh man, that guy's doing everything I wish I could do. I had to give up on that very early. Very early, 18, 19, 21 years old. Because I didn't have the athleticism to do it. So when I watched Till, I saw something very special. And I watched all of Till's matches. And you know what? Till's matches have one thing in common, and it's a position. That's one thing that people miss. Brunson went through Till in a surprisingly easy fashion. Going into that, it was pretty even money. And you could see Till beating Brunson. You could see Brunson beating Till, but this is going to be a really hard night. It wasn't. However, Brunson went back to that same position. There's only one thing physically that you have to deal with or fix if you're Darren Till physically. Now, I have my own opinion. I believe 5 rounds messes with Darren Till's head. The 5-round club is very rare. And I think we take it for granted. Every single time we watch a UFC event, there's a 5-round fight. It's very rare. It's the main event. 22 people fight on that card. 2 guys scheduled for 5 rounds. Then even when you're scheduled for 5 rounds, which now means you're either a championship or a main event, if you get to that point in your career, great job, but very few do. If you get there and you guys go back and you look at the numbers, people that actually went the 5 rounds, it's a very small amount. We've had world champions who are not in the 5-round club. Just so you understand, that's very rare. So Till is not alone. 5 rounds does something to you, but it's called taking inventory. And you'll hear fighters talk about, the only one I have to beat is myself. You'll hear fighters say that, but it's true. They just don't explain it to you guys. Fellow fighters hear it and they know what they mean. I have had such relief after matches. And I wasn't relieved that I'm going to be able to pay some bills because I got some money. I wasn't relieved and excited that I won. I was such relief that I didn't beat myself, that I didn't go out there and find a way to flick it. That door is open the entire time you're in there. And all you got to do is get a guy, right? It's very hard to TKO a guy. Very, very hard. It's very hard to submit a guy, but it's also rare. You guys think, I see it 4 and 5 times a night. I see it every Saturday. It's very rare that you will pound somebody out to a point that he can't defend himself and the referee has to step in, called a TKO. It is more rare that you can catch a guy's limb and extend it, unless the guy wants you to. When you see a TKO, it's not the guy on top that's getting pulled off and about to be on his coach's shoulders, pumping his fists around the arena. When you see a TKO, it's the guy on bottom has had enough and allowed you and gave the signal to the referee. The same thing goes with submissions. That door is open the whole time. You just need a little encouragement to step through it. A little bit of encouragement. And if your opponent can pull your will down and show you that his will is stronger, fighters will find a way through it. Whether it's a TKO or it's the submission. And the great sign is when they turn over and give you their back so they can put in the rear naked. And then they get their hand ready. Remember, right? You guys have seen this. My hand's ready. That's what you do in practice. A little tighter, partner. Little tighter. You got to pull. Oh, there you got it. I'm sharing that with you because Till's not alone. 5 rounds can do things. It just can. You're in the second round, you're down 1, this round's not going well, your eyes getting swollen, you start doing math in your head. Okay, well, I got to do 2.5 more times what I've already done. This is going to be a nightmare, or there's another way. And I think when Till works through that, I'm going to give you a great example. Darren Till was distracted. I watched it with my own eyes. I was at Madison Square Garden. Will Till came in his first time at 185 pounds. Oh, and by the way, he's got the number 1 contender, Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin was a 2-1 favorite when this fight went off in New York. Till flew in from England. They bring him straight to the arena for a media scrum, and he sits up in front of the media, and he's fighting. Got his eyes, he's fighting to not fall asleep. He does not look great. We don't know what he weighs. He's going to have to get some rest just to get the energy, just to get the weight off. And that's before he gets locked in there with a guy that was way over his head. For a guy who had never been in the division to have to step into the Mecca and take on a top contender, right? I mean, the line moved. People saw what I saw. Word started to get out. Hey, Till's jet-lagged. Till's not prepared. It moved to 3-1, just under. Don't think you have to correct me, but it moved to 3-1 for Kelvin. Now, what ends up happening? Till doesn't get in his own way. It's a 3-round fight, and he went out there and fought, and he let his skills hold up. He didn't take on the name. He didn't take on what it meant. He didn't take on the marquee because he wasn't in it. He had his mind on 5 other things. I'm tired. How's this weight class? Who's my next opponent? What's going to happen from here? He was distracted. And he put on what I believe was his best performance. Being distracted is very helpful for certain guys. You need to identify if you're that guy. Some guys must have laser focus. They must. Other guys need to look at it like it's a semifinal round. Darren Till's in there fighting Kelvin Gastelum, but he's not even thinking about Kelvin. He's thinking about Adesanya. I got to get through Kelvin. I put my real attention on Adesanya. That's helpful for some guys to be distracted, to have their mind somewhere else. This is very relevant because first off, I don't agree with this whole Darren Till slipping. I don't. There's one position. And secondly, the 5-round thing bothers him, whether you'll ever get him to admit it or not. That's just something you have to work through. He's not in a 5-round fight with Plessis. He's in a 3-round fight. And now he's not calling out Plessis. He's calling out Bo Nickal. Which means he's distracted. And if you're Team Till, I argue for you, that's when he does his absolute best work. And now we've got a back and forth between Till and Bo Nickal. I think that's helpful. The fact that Bo Nickal, he's not in the UFC yet, right? He's never fought, not a UFC veteran. Contender Series doesn't count. not as UFC. So I'm just sharing for you, for a guy who's never even competed in the octagon, in Bo Nickal, to be sticking his finger and talking trash to Darren Till right out of the gate, that's a good thing. That's what Darren Till did to everybody else. That's why Darren Till was in a main event against Cowboy Cerrone so fast. That's why Darren Till got turned around so quickly and was put in a world title fight with Tyron Woodley. Because he showed he had courage. He showed he was brave. He showed I'm not standing by. I'm not waiting. I'm here now. I'm where you are right now. But it worked. Now he's having it done back to him with Bo. I mean, I'm just sharing with you where this might go. But if you think that Darren calling out Bo is Darren's way of getting out of the Plessis fight, you've got this all wrong. And if you got that message from me, then I misspoke. So I've come here to correct that.